Okay, so when we look at the chart, we're going to see that the first thing we're going to see is I drew the one line in here. You see the black line I drew in just to complete the pattern type, but it would almost look like a bucket, but there's two planets over here, Mars and Neptune. So then it takes you to the other division. So it's the seesaw. And the seesaw is between below the horizon, the subjective, the planets. One half is below the horizon, one half is enough. So it's going to be pulled out into the functional world. And just as soon as the energy is going out into the functional world, there's going to be saying, hey, I need time for myself. As soon as it goes down into myself, the outer world's going to call saying, hey, I need to go out. It's going to go back and forth between this inner being, trying to project to one's inner being, and trying to see where one fits in and how one relates to others. So just in going over the seesaw type is sensitive to both sides of any situation. You'll be continuously challenged to empower one side or the other. As soon as one side predominates, the other will make demands. You live in a world of definite polarities and conflicts. You are capable of a vast understanding. This is because this type often has a lot of oppositions, and it's true in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oppositions. So this chart has a vast understanding, but too often can waste your energies by being incorrectly aligned. You end up caught up doing all sorts of things, not just following your understanding, pulled one way or the other. Okay, so like the pattern, it's there before you even look at the sun sign or anything else. It's interesting here that the moon and the sun are both on one side of the seesaw, and the outer planets are on the other. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of this, and we're going to go to, yeah, we have the seesaw. So now we have the, missing one more chart. Okay, so when it comes to trying to determine the phases of the moon, you can see the aspect. It's almost a square, but it's not a square. It's a bit larger than a square. So to get the exact degree, you just go to the aspectarian, and you see the aspects between the sun and moon. Here it's 101 degrees. So it's larger than 90. It's smaller than 135. And as you look at the chart, you imagine the point from Cancer, the sun, over to the Capricorn, and you'll see the sun, the moon is on the half that's moving back. It's moving back towards the moon, towards the sun. So it's a waning moon. It's not moving away from the sun. It's not moving counterclockwise from the sun and moving away from the sun. It's moving clockwise back to the sun. So this is a waning moon, and we know it's between 90 and 135, so it's a waning gibbous moon. Okay, so with the waning gibbous moon, it's just the 3.5 days to 7 days after the full moon. From that, you know, it's like from the gibbous to the half moon till it gets to the half moon. Once it's at the half moon, then it becomes the waning half moon phase. So this phase begins at the, again, just what I said, begins at the gibbous or 3/4 moon and lasts until the exact half moon. Moonlight is decreasing, and along with it, the desire to stand alone. This phase lasts the 3.5 days up to the exact waning moon. Here, there's a growing need for you to belong. You want to be cared for or loved by others. Unfortunately, there are many other people out there who may not want to give you what you want. You have a need to be independent, but you also have a growing urge to gain acknowledgement. You'll be creative whenever there's a chance for attention. You're very sensitive to the response of others. It's as if you need some applause. You'll be quite critical of your past, and you should continue to strive towards future goals. You will rarely be satisfied with family situations and will usually try to improve the circumstances of everyone who comes into your world, whether they want it improved or not. You often want to go back, but feel you will no longer fit in. Your life will be one of continual adjustment. You are looking for new directions, but are usually unprepared to let go and trust others completely. You seem to be driven by a need to find a vision or purpose of your own. You have a sense that something is missing in your life, and that you're prepared to chase after it. New dreams, like new seeds, need to be nurtured within for a while. Take your time. Discrimination is needed to avoid running down the wrong path or to avoid following the wrong people. Take care not to put others on a pedestal. Keep busy and you will make headway. You look fervently for any chance to belong, but tend to be too eager to make it happen. You are prone to making premature commitments and will often try to encourage others to go along with you. Commitments seem to pile up, and you seem to be the one person left who has to take care of them. Trying too hard can be a problem for you and for those who want to be close to you. Try to moderate your own assertions. So, okay, you're just looking at the two of them, and you see the seesaw, and you see the moving, the caring for others and oneself. You see the two sides of the seesaw being doubly represented in the moon phase. Okay, come out of here. I'm going to get back to just the natal chart. Natal chart up here. And you just want to be comfortable. Like you're just going through the steps, so you've covered each thing and you've looked at it enough to make note. You're not memorizing, you're just going through the steps of these categories of a person. And little by little, by the time you finish doing the 30 steps, you got a good sense of the person. You won't remember everything, but when it comes up, it'll kind of be there and it's easier to go back. So you get it, you're just tuning into it. You're not trying to define the person. You're just tuning into different aspects, from different views, different insights. And each thing gives us a little slightly different insight. The main deep work is the planets and the signs and the houses and the aspects to them. And you've done all of that. So here is the question, just having the overview, seeing the main points. I'm just going to pull this out here. Okay. So we got the seesaw, we got the waning gibbous moon. Then we look at the sun, moon, and ascendant. So here the sun is in Cancer, the moon is in Aries, and the ascendant is Virgo. So these are all, first outstanding thing, these are all I, me signs. It's the spring and summer, I, me. I'm doing my thing, I'm being me. Okay, so when you have all that being me, that's one half of the seesaw. But when you're meeting the person, you have the sensitive Cancer, you have the impulsive, restless Aries moon, and the very hardworking, meticulous Virgo rising. So when you're looking at it, it's water, fire, earth. It makes, there's not the air there, but you can't really say much. But they're not piling up that much. One is a masculine, two are in feminine. Yeah, you could say it's more cardinal and a bit immutable, not that fixed. Okay, so the driving need to be cardinal and capable of adjusting when necessary, but basically is pushing to try and get things done, make things happen on both sides of the seesaw. Okay, so we enter the points in, or we count through the points and count through each sign. This is for the signs of the zodiac. And you'll see 2 points in Aries, 2 points in Taurus, 2 points Gemini, 2 points Cancer, none in Leo, 3 points in Virgo, 1 in Libra, 1 in Scorpio, 1 in Sag, none in Capricorn, Aquarius, or Pisces. So Virgo, the analytical sign I analyze, is the most predominant. But right behind that is I am, I have, I think, I feel. All of those have 2 points. So you can't say that much about it, but I use, I know, I believe, those are the ones that are not so much accentuated. I balance it. So they're all there. But so out of this, you just know, even with all of this, there's a certain, because of the 3 planets in Virgo, there's a strong self-critical element or analytical element to the personality, to the person. So this is just, I just casually see what stands out here. The main thing is getting to these next categories. So daylight is increasing, 6 points. darkness is increasing 8 points. So this is the first balance. When its balance is 7-7. This is a moderate balance, but it's a little bit more darkness increasing. So there's a slight tendency to move towards responsibilities and commitments more than freedom, but they're both there. So you can't say one's there and the other's not. There's just a slight tendency to want to belong or move towards commitments and responsibilities. But when you look at the daylight is greater and the darkness is greater, there's 11 points I, me of being independent, and 3 points darkness is greater. So it's pointing out that I'm me. I've got to be me. I'm going to do things my way. I'm being me, but I'm trying to belong. But I'm being me. Don't tell me how to be me. I'm being me, but I'm trying to belong a little bit more than I'm trying to do my own thing. So I'm doing my own thing. I'm me enough. Let me help you. Let me do this for you. There's that. It could be more extreme if the darkness increasing was greater, but there's a slight hint of this. So it puts a coloring on the increasing individuality, the I, me, and puts a slight momentum towards belonging, towards doing things for others. That's an interesting insight. That begins to point out like two sides of the seesaw. I want to do things for I'm me. I want to do things for you, and okay, that's enough. And then you can cardinal, fixed, mutable, 5 cardinal, 3 fixed, 6 mutable. So it's kind of like when we looked at the sun, moon, and ascendant. We didn't have a fixed sign there, but here the mutable is the strongest. The capable to adapt is the strongest, and then the drive to prove things is there. So these are the 2 strong points. Hanging steady, maintaining something for the longest time, just hanging is not the strong suit. Either push for something new or adjust or change the thing you're doing. It's not going to hold in to the same fixity. So it's just a simple little accentuation, but it will be represented in the person's life. So I'm sure you could break these down, and in a way you've done all of these one at a time, each point at a time, but you could stop this and spend a lot of time on it, but I don't suggest it. At this point, you're just looking at these things and getting them in your mind so that they're there. The big extremes are there. And so far, it's mostly that daylight is greater, strong individual. Okay, so when you look at the seasons, 0 winter, 6 spring, 5 summer, 3 autumn, means spring and summer are his active times. When the daylight is greater, most of the planets will be there, and they'll accentuate that. And because where the sun is, Mercury and Venus is, the moon will be. So spring and summer are the really active times. Fall and winter are not so much. That's it. When you look at fire, air, water, earth, 3, 3, 3, 5, there's a practical element that's there more than any of the others, but there's not a big distinction. There's no great void or great increase. Only the practicality stands out. So it's interesting in the sense that with the sun and moon, his ascendant is in the earth, so there's the personality is a bit more trying to be practical. Here, there's definitely a tendency to be more practical, down to earth, but there's not a lacking of any of the other elements. So it's, yeah. And masculine, feminine, 8 feminine, 6 masculine, a little more reflective than projective. So even though strong I, me, that I, me is a little bit more reflective than projective. So it'll be sensitive to impressions to others, more than taking in more than putting out. So the sun, and you look at the rulerships, there's nothing, the sun isn't ruling it, there's nothing in Leo, so the sun doesn't rule anything. There's 2, the sun for 2 points is in Cancer, so it's ruled by the moon. Mercury has 5 points it's ruling. That's the ascendant, Pluto, Jupiter, Uranus,